Okay, boys and girls, today we're on lesson 10.3 on page 573, and our focus, measure time intervals. Time interval is the amount of time from when you start something until you end something. So measuring the time between those two things. Elapsed time is another way to think of it. Okay. When we're finding the time, the elapsed time, from when something starts to something ends. We can't just add and subtract using time like we do with regular numbers, because time stops when it's on a 0 to 60 scale. So when it hits 59 minutes and then it goes to the next minute, which is 60, we don't keep counting up. It actually moves us to the next hour. So if we go from 1:59, a minute later it's no longer 1:60, it's now 2 o'clock. And because of that, we can't just add and subtract numbers. We have to use some different strategies, which I'll show you today. Unlock the problem. Alicia and her family visited the Kennedy Space Center. They watched a movie that began at 4:10 p.m. and ended at 4:53 p.m. How long did the movie last? Okay, it says to circle the times the movie began and ended, and to underline the question as well. Okay, so I underlined the times, wants us to circle them, 4:10, 4:53, and I underlined the question. To find elapsed time, find the amount of time that passes from the start of an activity to the end of the activity. All right? And I'll show you one way to do that using a number line. So, step one. Find the time on the number line that the movie began, and that time was right here at 4:10. Okay? So the time starts at 4:10. So on our number line, we start at 4:10. Okay? Step two, count on to the ending time at 4:53. We're going to count by tens for each 10 minutes, and then at the end we'll count by ones for each 1 minute. All right, so we can see our number line started at 4:10, count by 10 to 4:20, so then this will be 4:30, 10 more minutes. Okay, the hour's still 4 o'clock hour. And then the next one is going to be still 4 o'clock, but instead of 30, 4:40. And then we have 4:50. And then you can see where they start counting by ones. 4:51, 4:52, and 4:53. So we filled in our number line, counting by tens to start with, and then counting by ones when we get really close. Because if I'm at 4:50 and I go up 10 more minutes, that gets me to 5 o'clock. And our movie ends at 4:53, so going all the way to 5 is unnecessary. Step 3, draw jumps on the number line to show the minutes from 4:10 to 4:53. So here we jumped 10 minutes, and then we're going to jump another 10 minutes, so I'll put that right there. And then we're going to jump from 4:30 to 4:40, which is another 10 minutes. And we jump from 4:40 to 4:50, which is another 10 minutes. Now we'd go from 4:50 to 4:51, which is just 1 minute. 4:51 to 4:52, that's a minute, and 4:52 to 4:53 is a minute. Now all we have to do is add up all this business right here, add those up, and that tells us our elapsed time, and that's shown right here. Okay, so 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 10 is 30, plus 10 is 40, 41, 42, 43. The elapsed time from 4:10 p.m. to 4:53 p.m. is 43 minutes. So that means the movie lasted, of course, 43 minutes. All right. We can also use models. What is another way? You can use jumps on the number line to find the elapsed time. We can use models and blocks and things like that if necessary. But I think you guys are pretty good using your number lines. Here's another way. We can actually use an analog clock. An analog clock is not digital. It actually has the hands on it like the one in the classroom. Okay, so again, we're still starting at 4:10 p.m. and ending at 4:53 p.m. We should get the same answer, right? Okay. Find the starting time on the clock. The starting time on the clock was 4:10 p.m. So here, hour hands pointing pretty much at 4, the minute hands at the 10-minute mark. Remember, 10-minute mark, if we counted all the little dashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's why it's there. But by now we also know we can just count the bigger marks and knowing that that's 5 minutes and that's another 5 minutes, so that's 10-minute mark, right? So 4:10 is the time that the clock is showing right now. We found the starting time. Step 2, count the minutes by counting on by fives. Sorry about that. By counting on by fives and ones. And we count by fives because we know this distance right there is 5 minutes. Okay? 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. 20 minutes. 25 minutes. 30 minutes. 35 minutes. 40 minutes. Okay. Now we also know the ending time, which I don't think they really put there. The ending time is 53, so we have to go to the 53-minute mark. Okay. So starting from here, 53-minute mark, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 51, 52, 53. So this is our ending point. That's why that's drawn there. Okay. Okay, so we counted 40 minutes, and then that's 41, 42, and 43. Okay. Now, hopefully I didn't confuse you by saying, this here was 5 and 10 and 15, but when we look over here, it looks like 0 and 5. Okay, the difference is, when I did it, the time I did in blue here, the ending time, I had to find 4:53, and so I had to start here at the top and work my way all the way around to there, okay? When I'm finding the elapsed time, I have to start here at 4:10 and count on from there, and that's why this is saying 0 right here, because this is from the beginning of the time that the movie started at 4:10. So we start here and we count. We start right here and we start counting to the end of the movie, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 41, 42, 43. Okay? So sometimes the clock can be a little trickier. All right? The elapsed time then is 43 minutes. Now earlier at the beginning of this video I said we cannot add and subtract using time. There is an exception. The exception is we can subtract in time when the starting hour and the ending hour are the same hour for something, okay? If the ending hour was 5 something, let's say the ending time was 5:12, but it started at 4:10, we would not be able to subtract because the ending hour is a different hour than that 4 o'clock hour, okay? But in this case, it starts at 4 something and it ends at 4, or rather it ends at 4 something and it started at 4 something, okay? So we can subtract in this case because they're both at the 4 o'clock hour. So, step 1, write the ending time first. Okay, and it ended at 4:53. Here's our ending time. So we're writing that first right here. 4:53. They already wrote the hour for me, so I'm just writing the minutes. Okay? Then write the starting time, which was 4:10. And now we can just subtract. 3 minus 0 is 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 minus 4, same hour, so we don't have to worry about that. So how many minutes? 43 minutes. Our elapsed time was 43 minutes. Okay? But again, we can only do that if the hour is the same on both. Try this. Find the elapsed time in minutes in 2 ways. We have a start time of 10:05 and an end time of 10:30. So using a number line, we're going to find 10:05. We're going to count on to 10:30. So we start at 10:05. Our ending time will be 10:30. All right, so we can draw 10-minute jumps. That's 10. So 10:05 plus 10 is 10:15. 5 plus 10 is 15. And another 10-minute jump. So 10:15 plus 10 is 10:25. What was my ending time? Oh, 10:30. So can't do 10 more because that would be 25 plus 10 is 35, and I only need to go to 10:30. So here's 10:30. And from 25 to 30 is 5 minutes. Okay? So I add up the numbers in yellow. 10 plus 10 plus 5, and I get 25 minutes. Okay? So from 10:05 to 10:30 is 25 minutes. So the elapsed time, the time from the beginning to the end, is 25 minutes. Elapsed time means from the beginning to the end. We can also subtract because the hour, when they end and begin, are both in the 10 o'clock frame, so they're both at the same time. So 30 minus 5. You should be saying 0 minus 5. Yep, can't do that. Can't have nothing and take 5 away. So we have to come over here to the tens column, take a 10 away, add 10 to our 0. 0 plus 10 is 10. Now I can do 10 minus 5, and that is 5. And 2 minus 0 here, 2 minus my 0 is 2. So again, we have 25 minutes as the elapsed time. Okay, boys and girls, use a strategy that works well for you. Sometimes this one here is a little confusing because figuring out where to count on your clock can get a little confusing. Also remember, you can only use this strategy if your beginning and ending time are both in the same hour. And finally, the number line works really well for most people. Okay, do your best, persevere, show integrity. As always, this is Mr. P, and I'm out.